Alright, let's try and speed through this little intro here that I've been given in like all of my videos. My name is Alex Bianchi, computer science student, transitioning to a new school. I have a gap semester, using that gap semester to work on projects and study for coding interviews, and this video is going to be about the coding interview part. When you're studying for coding interviews, the technical part of that is data structures and algorithms, which in kind of layman's terms, the way that I put it, is the structure of a program and the way that you code it. So kind of like the different ways that you can format a paragraph if you're thinking of just plain English writing, and then the algorithms might be different styles or just different ways that the code can interact with itself. Although this video is definitely meant for people who should probably already know what those things are or have a general idea, like CS 101 level knowledge. I just like putting that in there. In order to teach myself data structures and algorithms, my main methods up until now have been two things: data structures and algorithms in Python, the textbook, and MIT's OpenCourseWare Introduction to Algorithms, which was a lecture recorded in 2011, and it's an entire MIT class available completely for free online, and I am constantly blown away by the quality of education that is out there for free when compared to the money that we're currently paying to take online classes of a lesser value. I don't know. Shit's crazy. And this video is to document the fact that I have completed both of them, which is pretty amazing. I expected this to take me way longer. The other day I sat down, I had about 4 paragraphs left of the 15-paragraph textbook, and I read the whole thing in roughly 4 hours. I kind of documented the way that I was reading the textbook in a previous video, but I'll touch it briefly now. It was very simple. I read it on a tablet. I took some notes on my Rocketbook, and it was kind of just normal textbook reading, trying to get a pretty good understanding of everything that was in the text. Afterwards, I would watch the associated YouTube video in the MIT OpenCourseWare lecture series, and even though it wasn't the textbook used in the class, that's a different, more complicated textbook that has a lot more theory and proofs in it that I'm not particularly interested in because I'm worried about the practical application of it at the moment. But that being said, the topics are still roughly the same. And then the creme de la croix of the whole thing is Anki, a space repetition software, which is like flashcards, but the program reminds you when you should review them again, the goal being that just as you're about to forget something, you're going to be forced to remember it and make that memory pathway stronger. As of now, I have not put everything into an Anki deck. It does take a little bit of time. I'm going to do it today or tomorrow. But for the initial stuff that I read, the first few chapters that I've been using Anki space repetition flashcards for, I can definitely say that compared to other ways of learning that I've done in the past, albeit for different topics, this is definitely the most substantive. And there's some advice for how to do your flashcards in a way that you're most likely to remember what's on them. I followed some, I didn't follow others, testing some things out. One thing that I definitely think doesn't work is trying to fit anything more than a few lines of code into a flashcard. I was trying to have flashcards where it was basically an entire algorithm, which is 10 plus lines of code or more, and have that on a flashcard, so it would be like Dijkstra's algorithm, which is a shortest path algorithm between 2 points on a graph, and having all that code on one flashcard was just too much to remember in one time. Instead, I did have multiple more theoretical, so not the actual code, but multiple more theoretical and smaller flashcards that all culminated into Dijkstra's algorithms. Those I've had a lot more success with. So that's something I knew, something I wanted to still experiment with, and I don't know how I'm going to incorporate hard code into the flashcards because I think that's really important. I could give you the theoretical explanation for pretty much everything right now. Like if I was just to have a conversation with a professor or with another student, I could hold my own in that conversation regarding any of the topics in the lecture series or in the textbook. When it comes to the actual practical coding, that's where it might be a little bit more difficult. I might not be able to just sit down and implement anything that I learned, but that's also because I haven't programmed most of it yet. I did do some of the exercises in the textbook, some of the problem sets from the lecture, but those problems aren't geared towards interview prep. And I'm going to take this class for real one day in a university, and I can worry about all the more theoretical, the less practical, computer science aspects of everything then, Today, I'm worried about studying for interviews, and to do that, I'm going to be using Algo Expert, which is a product that Clement Mihailescu, another YouTuber who I'm a big fan of, is the CEO and founder of, and I bought it recently, and I gotta say, it's been really awesome so far. What Algo Expert is, if you don't already know, it's a curated set of interview questions with a live coding environment, so you get to code and test the answers to the different interview questions in the moment. And assuming you get it wrong, or you want a review, or you don't have the most optimal solution, there's an in-depth video associated with every single question about both the theoretical aspects of why things work and why things run the way they do, and the practical coding and how to actually type it out. I've seen a lot of great reviews on Algo Expert. I have seen some people that question the cost, whether or not it's worth it. LeetCode is functionally a free alternative, but it's much less curated. You don't have videos, you don't have... It's just not the same, and to me, just putting in, I think I paid $75 or something on it on a Valentine's Day sale because I just happened to be on the website, and it was like $10 off, and I was like, alright, I guess I'll buy it now instead of later. I think it's worth it. It's a little bit of an investment in my future, and I don't have to worry that I am practicing questions that aren't going to be directly relevant, and I don't have to worry about building bad habits by reading people's posts about answers to the problems that aren't necessarily correct or haven't been checked, and overall, I really just don't mind putting the money forward. As far as would I read this textbook, go through this lecture series again, I honestly have to say that, yeah, I don't know how much I would change about everything that I've done so far in learning data structures and algorithms. I think I could have maybe spread it out a little bit more so that I could do more Algo Expert LeetCode style interview practice during the time that I was learning the data structures and the algorithms. But I'm not too concerned. I definitely kept that in mind. I have done a few, and now I just really get to sit down and grind out Algo Expert and hopefully finish it next month. I do have a week-long vacation in the beginning of March. I'm going shark fishing with a few friends. Might as well, use this little gap semester while I have it, and I'm going to keep working on my personal projects. Speaking of which, I have a personal project completed now, which is either going to be the YouTube video before or after this one. Don't know which way these are coming out, but I did an A-star pathfinding visualizer, and I'm actually really happy with the way that it came out. So you should definitely subscribe, comment down below, and check out the channel so that you can see that video too. I think textbooks and lectures and courses, they all get a lot of slack in the computer science kind of community. And I think that learning by doing is fantastic and easily the best way to go in most situations. But with data structures and algorithms, you're not going to just learn how to do a binary search tree. You might just figure out intuitively how to invert one or do something with one. But laying that proper foundation with a textbook, with a lecture, that's really worth it in my opinion. And I think I did this right, and I'm excited to see how Algo Expert goes. I mean, who knows? Maybe next week I'm going to start grinding out Algo Expert. I'm going to have no idea what's going on. I'm going to be like, wow, how did I spend this past month? Must have been a massive waste of time. But no, I don't think it's quite like that. I think I'll be fine. Definitely going to stumble a little bit. Definitely not going to be able to code up the right answers for everything. But hey, that's what practice is for. I will get there, and I will update you guys probably when, on this topic, probably when I'm a quarter, halfway through Algo Expert, once I'm starting to get into once I'm kind of halfway through their medium, starting to get into their hard problems, so that I can let you guys know how everything's been going, and hopefully, hopefully this all pans out. I go from being super duper confident that I'm gonna crush this, I'm gonna work for Facebook, Google, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna crush my interviews, I'm gonna get interviews in the first place. And then I see I'm like a savant. I applied to every company and none of them even interviewed me, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm not that good. Or I see a video and it's like, I'm a savant and I interviewed with all the companies, but still none of them hired me, and I'm like, oh god, maybe that'll happen to me. But I think my practical chances are pretty good for landing a good internship. And I think my chances of getting a great top internship aren't bad. I'm not going to go with likely, but I don't know. I think this YouTube channel helps a lot. I think it's something good on my resume. I think the projects that I'm building out are pretty decent. I think it's going to show like a decent variety, arguably too much of a variety. I'm definitely kind of exploring with different things right now. But I do think I'll be able to focus more. What I'll probably do is I have this project that I finished. I have another project where I want to do a REST API. I want to start working on some back-end web development, and then another project which is going to be a complete offshoot for a couple. I want to do a machine learning application, and I want to do a ray tracing application. So those aren't going to be like very web developy, but that's fine. And then from there I'll kind of pick one of the things that I did and see which direction I want to go, so I can hopefully have like 2 projects in the same kind of field that show some kind of proficiency, and that way there is some sort of specialization as well as so breadth and depth. That's the goal. And when it comes to those interviews, I'm very confident in my behavioral interview skills. I think this YouTube channel helps a lot. It helps me talk about myself without coming off egotistical, but still doing it in a concise and confident manner. And it also just helps me speak more. I'm as I say the least grammatically correct sentence ever. The point being, I think I'm good at behaviorals, but I guess everyone says that. But I've had people tell me you're great at behaviorals. I'm just not someone that says that and has never had it kind of backed up. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling now. I'm gonna end this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.